They call us in. I walk in, and Ole looks up and said, "Damn, you do look like me."
Ooh, I'm sorry, Arn. Arn, we all know you as one of the four horsemen there, but before the four horsemen, when I remember being there, and I was trying to think of the guy's name, the police chief there in Athens, Georgia. You knew him pretty well. And I tell you how I know that, because when I was still working, you were just a young puppy running around in the streets of Rome, Georgia.
Rome, yeah.
Rome, Georgia. And one of the police chief come up to me. He said, we got a high school athlete here. He's an outstanding athlete. He's a little crazy. He might fit in your business real well. His name is Marty Lunde. So tell us a little bit about that upbringing there in Rome, Georgia.
Chief Collins, right?
Yeah, John Collins. Yeah, I went quail hunting with him on Jimmy Carter Ranch down in Plains, Georgia, with my bird dogs.
Yeah, he's a big time hunter.
Big time hunter.
Just shows you what a small world it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and now, I mean, this is way back when you were still a kid in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be a wrestler since I was 8 years old, and I have a very clear memory of just how I fell in love with it. But Rome's a small town, and there was like a McDonald's on one side of town and McDonald's on the west side of town. I went to East Rome. West Rome was the enemy, and you either had a date, went to the movies, or you bought a six-pack illegally, slugged it down, and found somebody to fight.
And you had a lot of those six-packs, I understand.
I drank a lot of six-packs and did a lot of fighting.
That's what the police chief told me.
Yeah, and I went to jail a couple of times.
That's how he knew you so well.
It happens, and that's where, they would dog that Lunde kids on the way back in, and public drunk, fighting at McDonald's. But it was just an outlet, being frustrated, wanting to be a wrestler, to be honest with you. And thank God I ran into Ted Allen. Some of you will know that name. Fantastic performer, right?
Fantastic, yeah.
Yes.
Very good. And
use your microphone, JB.
I ran into him just by chance, and I just said, Mr. Allen, I recognize you off TV, and what would a guy like me have to do to do what you do? Now, if I would have asked that to him or asked myself that, we would have probably said, you can't do what I do, you dipshit. That's the way we felt about the business, and somebody asking to just walk in the door. So I couldn't believe it when he said that he was going to break me in, and he did it the right way. And that was my very first getting to be a wrestler. Now, day one, we did just a little bit of drilling, and just out of nowhere, he said, here, stand in front of me and just relax your knees a little bit. Look down and make sure your knees are bent a little bit. And he scooped me up and slammed the piss out of me. I mean, hard. And I just remember.
And you had never taken a bump before or anything?
Never taken a bump. And I just raised up and went, oh, God, I have screwed up badly.
I really want this.
And as an introduction to the business, and he got me my first break. And I've had people help me along the way. The list was so long that we couldn't even get to it here. But
do you remember your first match?
First match was Atlanta TV, just getting creamed. I think his name was Deke Rivers. Does that ring a bell?
Deep Rivers.
Deke Rivers. Maybe not.
No.
But anyway, it was just to come down and get thumped in Atlanta, and just being on TV, coming back to Rome and catching it when it aired at 6:05. You see yourself wrestling on TV, and that's really what you wanted to do your entire life, it's a surreal feeling. Even though I didn't get one offensive move, it's still a surreal feeling. And it's just been a love affair ever since.
How did you go from that, the first TV, did you go to a territory right away? What did you do first to get into the business?
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I was doing TV every week. Ted got us booked every week, tackling dummies. And it just so happened that about the 4th week, I had a partner, and we were wrestling the Armstrongs, Bob and Brad. And I guess it was because I was from Rome and Bob was from Marietta, and he was asking me a little bit, how long you been working, and I just told him, I've had 3 or 4 matches. He said, okay, well, Brad will do a little something with you. He didn't say I'll do a little something with you.
Bob was a smart veteran.
And so they gave me the opportunity just to do a couple of little things. And when the match was over, he went, how long you say you've been? I haven't seen you around. How long you been working? I said, 4 matches. He says, well, you know what? I'm the booker down in Pensacola, and I could use you for about 3 weeks. If you're interested, do you have a job? And I said, yes, sir, I do. I'm working as a meat cutter at a grocery store for Warehouse Groceries. And he said, well, that's a pretty good job. And in Rome, Georgia in those days, that was a good paying job, I said, with all due respect, Mr. Armstrong, I don't want to be a butcher. I want to be a wrestler. I'll quit. He said, no, don't quit. I said, I already did. So he brought me down to Pensacola 3 weeks. When the 3 weeks was up, he says, you want to continue this, I hope. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, what if I get you booked for Bill Watts? When did 2 TVs for Bill? Same conversation. I've had 3 weeks experience. He says, well, go home and pack and come back. I could probably use you in an underneath spot for, we'll see, a few months. Home, packed my bags, took off, and I worked for Bill for 5 months. I think I had 1 conversation with him. Matt Bourne, Ted DiBiase, and Jim Duggan were the Rat Pack. Wow. And boy, they were top guys, and they were red hot in Louisiana. Well, the time came where the run was over. They were going to get Bourne a partner, send him to Atlanta, and they had a manager in mind, which was unknown then. His name was Paul Ellering. This story's about to get good. So
business is picking up.
Yeah, and so we're sitting around at TV, and everybody was in one room for Bill Watts, and he's talking to Bourne. He said, "We got to get you a partner, and we'll see. You got any ideas?" And nobody had any ideas, and just out of the blue, a voice, "Hey, Bill, Lunde looks just like Ole Anderson. Won't you send him and make him an Anderson?" That was the Junkyard Dog. Wow. Bill looked over and went, "Dog, that's a great idea. Lunde, I'll talk to you next TV." Next TV, I came back and he said, "You'll be partners with Bourne. You'll finish up in 2 weeks and send you to Atlanta and put you with Ellering." Had it not been for JYD, I might have never been anything. Wow. So that's how stuff happens in this business.
And were you worried about Ole Anderson giving you the thumbs up or thumbs down on it?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So as the story and the saga, continues, I get there way too early, TBS, when I'm supposed to start. Nobody, I think I beat the night watchman there.
Was that the back in the old Techwood Avenue days?
Yeah, remember the offices there? So I'm in there, I'm sitting in the dark, and everybody comes in.
Literally the dark hallways there. Cold.
Oh, God, yeah. So they come in, and Matt Bourne comes in, and then Paul comes in. He comes over and introduces himself. Ole comes in, goes in his office. They call us in. I walk in, and Ole looks up and said, "Damn, you do look like me."
Ooh, I'm sorry, Arn.
I didn't know if I was good or bad. He said,
"I'd take it from me. I wonder."
So he says, he rocks back, and just this quick, I guess he had been thinking about it. He goes, "I tell you what, we'll give it a try, and we're going to call you Arn Anderson." That's how I was born that day.
Wow.
Just like that.
And right away they introduced you as
cousin of Ole Anderson, or nephew, or one of those things. They call me about 3 different things, from brothers to nephews to you call it. And from that day, it was a gift, and a hell of a gift being an Anderson. And
did you ever know Lars?
I've never met Lars Anderson.